If a player cleans his ball during play of a hole, except on the putting green, he shall incur a penalty of 1 stroke. That's the rule, Jerry.
But it's just a friendly game. Why do you always have to be such a stickler?
Because that's the way I was raised.
Welcome to Spirit of the Game, brought to you by the Colorado Golf Association. Now here's your host, Ed Mate.
Okay, we're back for another edition of Spirit of the Game, and I always start out these talks with, I'm so excited, because I'm easily excited, but I really am excited this time because we have the one and only Davis Bryant joining us. Davis, welcome.
Ed, thank you. I'm honored to be here and happy to join the call and just give some advice and some knowledge of what's going on in my world.
Yeah, I think it should be a fun conversation. I have some notes, so I'll try to keep the conversation somewhat, because I have a scatterbrain. You know, the
Somewhat on
ADHD.
topic.
Yes, I'll try to have a theme here. So I'm going to go back to July of 2000. Anything notable happened that month?
January of 2000.
January. Okay.
Yeah,
But you were
January.
born in 2000.
Yeah, January 2000.
That's
yeah,
easy.
So,
That's so easy to remember your birthday. So as soon as,
whatever year it is, that's how old I am. No,
that's I'm the same age as the Super Bowl. That's how I remember.
Wow, love it.
So how old am I going to be this year? Any idea?
60?
Yes.
60, yeah.
So whenever I fill out a form for my age, I write it in Roman numerals.
Well, I'm hoping that our hometown team can.
I know.
Get it done. It's a bummer that Bo got hurt at the end of the game.
I know. Well,
devastated, but
yeah, it is exciting. All right. So the reason I went there right out of the gate is you were born premature. So, how premature were you? How many months?
I was born 14 weeks early.
Okay.
I spent 105 days in the NICU, and I weighed 1 pound 10 ounces when I was born.
Oh my goodness! What was your favorite memory from the NICU?
Getting out of there. not seeing it again. Yeah.
No, I remember it well. It was because your mom and dad are such good friends. Anyway, so in all seriousness, what do you think being born premature did for you? How did that affect your life? If at all?
Well, yeah, it definitely did. Well, I think it did, but you don't remember anything until you're
right.
I have some vague memories of being maybe 3, 4, 5 years old. But every kid, once you get that age, you start to remember a few things. I think it just instilled a strong mental mindset of being mentally tough, overcoming challenges, overcoming adversity. The medicine and the technology we had 26 years ago was a lot different. Not to say that a 14-week early baby is just automatically going to survive in 2026, but God had a plan. Luck had to go my way. And for whatever reason, I wanted to pull through. I wanted to survive, and
here we are.
No long-lasting effects. I mean,
that's great.
It's a miracle. $1 million baby for sure is what my mom says.
Yeah. Well, I think you're worth it. I don't know. We'll see. It's a big loan to pay back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we won't. Just kind of a fun little anecdote about Davis Bryant. So, my first time playing with you, I'm sure you remember this. We were playing the par 3 at GVR. You must have been 8, 9, something like that, and I think you beat me on the par 3. What I remember about your golf swing is you had this little kind of a chicken wing thing. You kind of took it up and dropped it down. And I told your dad that I kind of like that move. It's kind of like just drop it in the slot. And it was pretty dang impressive. So if you don't just talk about growing up at Green Valley Ranch, and your mom, your dad, just being the rat out there all those years growing up, and how that paved your way in golf.
Well, yeah, my mom and dad certainly provide Emma and I the access to be able to play and practice. And, there's so many stories of kids just not having the opportunity or having the opportunity and them turning out to do great things. So that provided us the opportunity to play and practice and learn the game and be surrounded on a cool par 3 course to mess around and hit different shots. And, to this day, I still enjoy if there's no one out there hitting from number 1 tee to 2 green and 3 tee to 5 green. And, you make the game fun. And that's what I remember most about being up there by myself or with Emma. Just like we always had a good time and it was always enjoyment. And we got creative with practice, and it was just, I was learning how the club worked. I was learning how to get out of the bunker. I was learning how to hit different clubs, different distances. And you're just kind of at that age, 8, 9, 10 years old, you're just jacking around. There's really no purpose. You're just being a kid. You're trying to see if you can get up and down from this spot or that spot. And then when I was old enough, when I joined the first tee when I was 6 years old, that program kind of created like the structure as far as like, okay, you have the game of golf and these are, different facets of the game to focus on. But then you have the different, life skills that are being taught about setting goals and how do you introduce yourself to an adult? There was many times where I would go with dad in the morning to work and I'd go play 9 or 18 holes by myself at 10, 11 years old. And I'd have lunch with him and then I'd go back out and play another 18 holes. And I wasn't playing with friends. I was playing with random people. And so I'd get paired up with three people that were probably like, why is this kid playing the green tees or the gold tees? And that, like, it's just, I knew how to talk to an adult. Like that is so important at that age. And so not only did my parents kind of just throw us in the deep end, if you will, and just say, I'm going to work, you go play, you have fun and figure it out. But it also, like, my sister and I would not be the kind of people we are today without that, or a combination of that aspect of how we grew up, but then also the first tee and what that program does for junior golfers and just developing young people into to who they are today and to better people as they grow older.
Yeah. Just for those that are not as familiar with the Bryant family, Matt Bryant, longtime director of golf at GVR, mother, Julie, I always call her Julie Gish because I was an Evans Scholar with her at Boulder, is the executive director. I'm not sure what her title is now with the Colorado Open Golf Foundation. Chief operating officer. She runs the show. We know that. That's all we can say. So to say you have a little golf in your blood is an understatement. And again, a little catch up here for those that are not as familiar with Davis. Went on to play golf at CSU and is now going to be embarking his second year on the DP World Tour. So you are definitely a full-on Colorado product, born, reared, raised. And that's why so many folks like me are so proud of you, so proud of what you've accomplished. Regardless of how you do on the golf course, all those things you just mentioned, you've always been very mature beyond your years. And I think what you just said is a testament to that, being paired randomly with whoever and learning how to talk to them. I kind of had a similar upbringing at City Park. We used to go out there early in the mornings and got paired with World War II vets. And that's one of the greatest things about the game of golf. It's truly a game of a lifetime. And what a great filler of generation gaps. It's just amazing. Well, let's jump ahead to your amateur career. Well, by the way, you kind of acknowledged this. When I said you had that little chicken wing, do you remember that? Do you remember that little move or not?
Yeah, I think I still kind of have it to this day. I've always had like kind of high hands in my swing.
Yeah.
I don't know why I associate with just like if the club is a little higher, I feel like it can't really kind of get behind me and get kind of stuck in a way. I still have a tendency.
Yeah.
I think we all have a tendency to probably get stuck at one point. But I still, I like to kind of start high and then kind of, I don't know, turn it a little bit. Kind kind of around my body. But yeah, when I was younger, I was little. I didn't have the club head speed to, I wasn't hitting pull cuts that were going a mile. And
Yeah.
so I was having to kind of sling it inside and hit draws or at some point hooks. But it's like, that's how I figured out how to play the game. And that's, now I kind of I had the skill and the technique and the strength to be able to hit a variety of shots. But now it's it's pretty neutral. Like I hit draws for a while, and now it's, I'm very rarely ever trying to curve it one way or the other. But yeah, it's funny you bring that up. There's a picture somewhere in the house where you can kind of tell where my right elbow kind of gets flying a little bit, and you got to drop it under.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Love it.
many moons ago.
So you played junior golf at an interesting time when the JGAC was, I mean, you're sort of not 10 and under golf, or you're real young golf, but when you were really emerging as one of the top junior players in the state, the Junior Golf Alliance of Colorado was in full swing. You won what we called the Bryant Slam. You won the junior stroke and match play. Did you win all four that year? You were the junior player of the year, but you were definitely you learned. So I just want you to kind of talk about your junior years, what you remember from those years, and how important it was to get that early exposure to competitive golf.
Yeah, it started with the CJGA with 10 and under events. We're all par 3 events. So that was like, once you were done with the 10 and unders, you moved to 11 to 13. And then you started playing 18 holes. You moved back a set of tees. And that was like a big jump. I remember playing at 11, and I was like, how am I going to play with these guys? Like, the courses are probably at that time like 6,000 yards maybe, or 6,200 yards. And then when you're 14, when you turn 14, you moved up to 14 to 18. And then you're playing at 6,500, 6,800, whatever. And that was another big jump as well. I remember, the most thing I remember is like the number of opportunities that the JGAC provided in-state golfers to not only compete against each other, but there were also opportunities to qualify for other events against national players. So you had the Junior PGA Championship, you had the Big I qualifier, which is obviously not a tournament anymore. You had the IMG qualifier. Remember, that was always like 2 days, kind of like early mid-May, up in like Thornton. I remember playing Thornton Creek a couple times for that qualifier. But they were like tournaments inside of a tournament. So you had a tournament in the state where you qualify. If you played great, finished like top 2 or top 3, you qualify for these big events. And so you were kind of testing yourself against the state, but also like having the chance to go, play in bigger events against more competition, playing courses like Torrey Pines. We played Valhalla one year for the Junior PGA. We went to Missouri one year for the Junior PGA. Obviously, the USGA qualifiers. At the time, the US Junior Am was 36 holes
Right.
day, which that was a big deal. Like that was our big event every summer, that you would play 36 holes and 2 guys got through and 2 guys were alternates. And we had so many good players. As far as if you look at the guys that played D1 golf from like starting in 20, I mean, you could kind of stretch it back to Wyndham's year, but I was kind of a little bit too young to kind of play against Wyndham. But like Jake Staiano would have been 3 years younger, so maybe like class of 2015 or 2016 all the way up through 2020. So for like 5 or 6 years there, we had just a bunch of really good players that stayed in the state of Colorado to play D1 golf. And it was just a testament to how that system was and how that developed kids. Fortunately, we had quite a few of them at Colorado State, which I was happy to be a part of those teams. But I mean, like, I remember the Eisenhower tournament a lot every year. They had the junior series. I think Walker Lee went to like Texas A&M. He won that tournament one year. So you had a couple instances where like guys would come in the state, Yeah, it was easier maybe for them to qualify in Colorado rather than being in Texas, let's say. But um, if a player was serious at the time about pursuing college golf, you didn't really have to leave the state if you didn't want to, which I thought was really cool. Now, if you qualified for those events, obviously you went, but um,
Yeah, you actually went exactly where I wanted to go next, which is kind of staying in Colorado. You alluded to it there. I remember when Jennifer Kupcho was just starting on the LPGA tour, and I asked her, she was visiting, playing in the Colorado Women's Open, and I said, "So, what would your advice be to an up and coming junior player looking to play D1 golf? Stay in Colorado or leave?" And she said, without hesitation, you got to leave. You got to go where. It's so funny now. I ask you this question. Heck, you've played golf on 25 countries. I mean, it's like you're the nomad now. It's like unbelievable what you're experiencing on the DP World Tour. But back then, why did you decide to stay in Colorado? And what would your advice be to the next Davis Bryant coming up, and when it comes to staying versus going out of state? And,
well,
and to be clear, when I say out of state, we're talking sea level, we're talking different grass, we're talking of all those things. That it's not just being further from home, it's about developing your game, obviously.
I think I'm a big believer on okay. Yes, you want to test yourself outside of the state and see how you can develop as a junior from the age of 15 to 18, let's call it. And thankfully, now the recruiting process is getting a little bit later, so we don't have 14-year-olds committing that are just finishing the 8th grade, thank goodness. But I felt like you couldn't. Yes, you could go test your game, but until you were successful in the state, it was like, okay, now I can make that jump. If you've had some good results, you beat some of the best players. Okay, now you can go test yourself. I think it's different than if you don't have much success. I think you'd be at a disadvantage of just saying, well, I just went to go play some AJGA tournaments in different states where if you're not having the success in your home state, if you can play well where you're comfortable, you're probably not going to play very well going to a new environment. No, I don't say that in like not trying, for just do 2 tournaments a year of go on Bermuda grass, go on Zoysia grass, go to California and San Diego where the ball goes absolutely nowhere. And you just have to hit it well in order to score, even at that age. So I personally just love my home state. I wanted to be close to home and I wanted to, I wanted to represent the state of Colorado. And I was fortunate to have a great opportunity at Colorado State that happened when I was about, I think it was maybe 16 or 17 when that kind of came to fruition. And that's how it worked out for me. Now, Wyndham went a different direction and Jennifer went a different direction. So I think you have to there's some factors you have to weigh out and you have to go somewhere where you're going to play right away. And if you are going to a school that's, in Texas and you can play right away, the guys on the team, how you stack up, financially you're in a good spot to go play there and go to an out-of-state school, then that would be a great opportunity. Now, if you go somewhere where you cannot play right away, you're not getting any better, you can't qualify for tournaments, it's like, okay, well, if I don't play in 10 or 12 events a year and I play in 2 of them, am I really getting any better? And so I think that's something you really have to weigh out, as far as, what if you get injured for a year and you have to redshirt? Do you enjoy where you're going to school? That's another aspect I think kids really should think about while they're going through the recruiting process. Another one is, not very many of us get the chance to play professional golf and excel. So where, at 18, you might not know what you want to do, but what school sets you up for success after college? If golf doesn't work out, or if you get burned out after 2 years, are you still enjoying where you're going to school? If, let's say, you decide to not, continue playing golf. So those factors are important. And those were things that I thought about when I was going through it. It was like, am I going to make an immediate impact on the team? Am I going to enjoy where I'm going to school if golf doesn't work out, or if I get injured, or do I know what the weather situation's like? I mean, I knew what I was getting into, and I knew what Colorado was going to be like. Do I think that I might have been better prepared going to a school in California? Maybe, maybe not. I would probably say no because of how things have turned out. But you also got to weigh out, like, are you going to be, we're kind of forced to take a little bit of time off in the winter, which is nice, rather than, you really don't have an excuse when you live in a state like that. So or I should say, you don't have an excuse to take time off. You kind of have to force yourself versus now, we would take 4 to 6 weeks off before we would, kind of ramp things up back in January and get back from winter break, which was, I don't know. It's just, if I've learned anything, kind of less is more sometimes. Having other hobbies is also something that I am a big believer in. Playing other sports in high school until you're at the point where you really have to focus on something and you're really talented and gifted at one thing. I just think that, we play an individual sport. So if you can play a team sport, it's track and field, or it's basketball, or it's baseball, or it's, tennis. Tennis is still, kind of a team sport.
Wasn't baseball your sport?
Yeah, baseball.
Yeah.
I just think that's a whole other, that's how you deal with life obstacles. That's how you deal with conflict. That's how you learn how to deal with teammates that are, half of our team was from outside the country. So we were dealing with players that had a completely different, upbringing than we did in America, much less Georgia versus California versus Colorado. I mean, it was a hodgepodge of team members.
Kind of a little bit of a foreshadowing for you of your globe trotting that came later, is going to college. CSU was pretty darn good back in those days. I was just revisiting some of our archives, and we had a nice run there with our Les Fowler Player of the Years with Connor Jones and you, and who am I forgetting? There was a nice run of all CSU.
AJ was probably up there.
AJ. Yeah. So as we start the transition into professional golf, and this is really where I want to spend the most of the time that, as we chat, because it's really been a testament to all that background. It really kind of paved the way to what's happened since college. But before I go there, you were premature, and then you were a COVID college player. But that kind of worked out well for you. You were able to get a master's degree. You were able to get a kind of a grad year. It kind of, when you look back on that, you got to be pretty happy how it turned out.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously would not change a thing. I mean, we did play, myself and the team, we played our best golf that sophomore year when COVID hit and the world ended, and we were thinking it might be a 2-week deal, and it ended up being, depending on what state you lived in, a couple year deal. I just love the opportunity to have to, play one more season of college golf. If I was not where I'm at today and playing professional golf internationally, those memories of being in college and playing the tournaments and the bus rides and the flights and the meals, it's such a fun experience and such a fun time where it's going by so quickly, and you just go that you kind of forget to enjoy it. But yeah, it goes by fast. We went to regionals out of 5 years. I believe it was 3 years. Went to nationals my last year, my 5th year at Greyhawk. And yeah, I loved competing. I loved what college taught you. It taught you time management. It taught you, when are you doing your laundry? When are you eating? When are you doing your homework? How much sleep are you getting? You're working out 3 or 4 days a week at 6 a.m. like it's a full-time job. You know, probably 20 to 25 hours a week, sometimes more, depending on if you wanted to put some extra time in, but that was kind of the minimum. Um, and if you didn't put that in, there were guys that they just they wanted to win. They wanted to beat you. And surrounding yourself with people that are better than you, and having the resources at like teammates or resources in college. They're there to make you better. They're there to push you. They're there to bounce ideas off of if you're struggling with a shot or struggling with your putting or whatnot. Um, Use them as a resource, and that, now professional golf is, you don't have those same resources. You're on your own. You're on your own island. You're doing. I'm surrounded. I'm choosing my own day, and I'm working out when I want to work out, and no one's telling me what to do. And now it's self discipline. But at 18 years old, you need to have that trait, or you'll learn it quickly if you don't. To just hold yourself accountable. Yeah, it really just it teaches you a lot of great lessons. And my high school to college was, the courses got harder, but I mean, high school golf is just nothing like college golf as far as the commitment, and your you have your social aspect, you have your golf aspect, and your school aspect, and you have these buckets, and it's like, okay, where do I put my time? And our college coach had this saying where you have a wheel and you have different spokes of your wheel, and if one of your spokes is bad in the wheel, you're that wheel is going to go flat. And so if you have a strong support system and you surround yourself with the right people and you get your grades, you do well in the classroom and your grades are in a good spot, you practice hard, you hold your teammates accountable, you work hard in the gym. Like those are all aspects of like how to be successful in college. And then like that's how you're successful today, and how I try and, structure my day, and surround myself with people that are better than me, and have a good go-to team, and have people to ask questions and ask for help, and have good mentors. Those are all, I can't stress some of that stuff enough.
So you come out of college in 24, right? Or 23?
23. Yep.
Okay. You win the Colorado Open in 24 and you win $100,000. Talk about that and what that meant to your, just, as a way into that chapter. So now you've graduated from college. You've had a lot of success, both academically, on the golf course. You have a master's degree. Talk about setting yourself up for success in life. But now you're going to give it a go. And you've seen so many of your peers give it a go. And first question, I guess, is, I kind of teased it with the Colorado Open. How did you approach the decision? Do I want to pursue this, or do I want to just, pivot and take on what were some of the factors that led you to make the decision to give it a go?
Well, I would say my sophomore year in college, when our season got cut short, I only won once in college, and I think it was my fourth year. But it wasn't like after I won a tournament, it was like, okay, now I think I want to play professionally. It was like, I just played really solid my second year, and then I was like, I really see myself, wanting to do this, and having the chance to do this, hopefully, and kind of just putting it on my radar of like, this was a goal of mine to feel like I was in a good spot at the end of college, whether it was at the end of 4 years or 5 years, to feel like I have the game, I have the mindset, I have the belief, the confidence to want to pursue this, and then, finding the support to go out there and do that. Yeah, I caught fire in 2024. I think I won 3 events in 4 weeks, and Colorado Open was the second one. And I think what I learned most was about just like, I had always have like the belief and the confidence that I could compete, but until you actually do it in the biggest event that I had played in, monetarily wise, was that one. And to know that, okay, if you finish second in the playoff, you win $20,000 or whatever it is versus winning $100,000. It was like, okay, now I can use this to take a big jump or to give myself an opportunity that someone might not have, to try and play at a higher level. And that was simply the decision after I won the tournament, was to pursue. I was always going to do the Corn Ferry Q School, and as we know, Q School is really the only way to get status on any tour, other than some of the Monday qualifiers, which are slowly going away, unfortunately. But that was the reason behind signing up for Q School. Was once I had basically had that, financial security of having a little bit of extra money to give myself the opportunity and just go play stage one and leave the country for the second time. I just went to Morocco, for an Asian tour event, in an international series event, a month earlier before the Colorado Open, or not even, maybe 3 weeks. And that was like, what am I getting myself into here? Like going to Northern Africa by myself for 8 or 9 days, 10 days. And then going to Sweden for stage one was just like, but it didn't feel like as weird the second time, but it felt like, the golf's the same, every course is different, but like, I kind of relate it now to like, I'm comfortable on the course. That's where I, enjoy working and strategizing and practicing. And like, yeah, the external stuff, the exterior stuff is all different every week. Some good, some bad. But the golf is the same, your preparation's the same. And I didn't really have any expectations. I think that helped, going to stage one for DP and for Corn Ferry.
And let me ask you a question there, Davis, about the DP World Tour, because it seems like your path, Brooks Koepka is another one who went that route. What does that look like? And why don't more players, and I can imagine they just are maybe intimidated at the idea of being that far away, the travel, the time zones, the cultural challenges. But how much different is the DP World Tour qualifying versus the Corn Ferry?
So the DP World Tour Q School is 3 stages: first, second, and final. The Corn Ferry is pre-qualifying, stage 1, stage 2, final. So basically 4 stages for Corn Ferry, 3 stages for DP. The stage 1 is, there's like 10 or 12 locations I think you can pick from, and it's 4 rounds. Top, depends on how many people sign up, but roughly like top 18 or top 15 and ties make it to second stage. And so if you live in the States, you obviously have to get over there, and then you come back, and then if you make it to stage 2, you go back again like a month later or 6 weeks later, depending on when your first stage site was played. And so it's 2 trips. After stage 2 is the same, but it's when I say the same, it's the same amount of players relative to who signs up. So top 15 to 20, but it's like an exact number, not ties. So they have an exact number that make it to final stage. Second stage is 4 rounds as well. So now you're looking at 8 rounds of golf for stage 1 and stage 2, but then final stage is 6 rounds of golf in a row. And that's the week after second stage. So second stage is always in Spain. Final stage has been in Spain the last, 10 years or so. So yeah, you're looking at going there for stage 1, coming back, in my case, to America. I did stage 1 in between for Corn Ferry, in between stage 1 and stage 2 for DP. Went back to Spain. Got through in a playoff actually in second stage in Spain, and then went to final stage in 2024 and finished third. And it was like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I wouldn't have probably known. I would have I would have known more with the Corn Ferry route just because of being in America and knowing the landscape more. But the DP side, it was like so unknown. I just I simply knew that the tour was better than what I was doing that summer. Like it was more money. It was, you're trying to play against better players. You're trying to, progress your career. And the Colorado Open just gave me this financial piece to like feel like I could afford it, no problem. And it was like, let me give this a go. And whether I made it or whether I didn't, it was like, um, it was still would have been a great experience. Obviously glad I did it.
So your first year on the DP World Tour was 2025 last year. Uh, what were the highlights? How many events did you play in? What were your best finishes? Any stories that stand out that really we'll always remember?
I played 18 tournaments. I want to say I made like 11 or 12 cuts. Unfortunately, this is how golfers are, but I missed quite a few at the end of the year, so I was frustrated about that. I would say the highlight of the year was finishing tied for fourth in Germany, the BMW International Open, pretty close to Munich, Germany. Yeah, awesome event. I think I had a 2-shot lead going into the weekend. Shot 62, I believe it was, 9 under in round two. I would think it was 12 under par through 2 days. I made a hole in one in round two. Unfortunately, it was not on the same hole where they were giving away a free BMW, but that's okay. It was just fun. I remember that week, not being that nervous really. Like I felt like I really belonged. I was in great command of my game. Putter felt great. The week before I played in Italy and I had my first top 10, I finished tied for 10th there. So that gave me obviously a bit of confidence. And I remember walking on the range the week before Germany started and was just like, oh, okay. Like I had a little bit of relief to just have a good start and kind of know what that felt like and kind of go, start moving in the right direction. After that, in Germany, I got to play in my first PJ Tour event at the ISCO Championship in Kentucky. Very difficult golf course, set up really difficult, really hard, challenging. But I didn't make the cut there. But that was just a cool bonus because I qualified from Germany. So I hopped on the flight the next morning and went all the way to Kentucky. And mom and dad came out, Emma came out. One of my professors from CSU came out to watch. So that was a blast. The final swing's really good. We played at the British Masters, at the Belfry, where the Ryder Cup was back in the early to mid 90s, I believe it was. Great drivable 10th hole, par 4, finished tied for 13th there. Played with Shane Lowry at the Irish Open in September. That was phenomenal. I mean, what a incredible human being, someone that is just elite. I mean, he's one of the best players in the world, and to watch him go, strategically attack the course and not get too up, not get too up, too down. We had a fun day. It was a twosome too, so it was just Shane and I. That was a blast. My favorite country, Italy, was pretty cool. Food was great. I really enjoyed. Spent a day in Rome the day before the tournament week started, so that was cool to see the city of Rome, and had some good food that week. But I've said this to many people multiple times. Like, we have the opportunity to go to a different country each week for only 1 week. Sometimes you might go back to somewhere similar nearby, but you never really go back to the same place twice until the next year. And so to be able to do your job in a country, see what it's like, it's just a really cool part of the opportunity that I have. And
is there any rhyme or reason to the schedule as far as geography? It just seems to me like you're just going all over. I've never really looked at a map and said, okay, is there a sequencing there that kind of brings some sanity to it?
Well, once we're like in the first or second week of May, then we're in Europe. I think it's like Turkey or Belgium is maybe the first week in starting in Europe, that European swing all the way through end of September, early October. But from now until then, yeah, it's all over the board. I mean, it's the Middle East and South Africa. They kind of, I think it like South Africa. Obviously, it's summer there right now, so the weather's great. And then you kind of move into China, where China's like April, I want to say, or maybe late March. I think it just has to do with some of the time zones as far as the sunlight, how much sunlight each country might have at that particular time. Um, and then I think it comes down to some sponsors. Like I remember China had two events back to back in April last year. I only played in one of them, but now this year I believe one's in March and one's in April. So I think it kind of just depends on what works with some of the sponsors and when they have tournaments and when they want to fork up the money for the purse. So yeah, there's not much rhyme or reason until then, I don't think, other than the time zones, the daylight.
Right. So when you just to fill in a gap here, so you played the full year, you finished the year, you just barely missed keeping your card. You had to go back to Q school. Talk about that experience. And the season started, right? It actually started. The new season started in Australia. It looks like you had a pretty good finish down there. So just how did that all kind of play out with your, you had a lot of ups and downs. You missed your card and then having to go back to Q school. Just talk about that experience.
Yeah, no, I would have had by barely missing my card, I would have had conditional status and would have got me half a dozen starts, maybe, or yeah, six to eight events, maybe something like that on the DP side. But to go back to Q school would have put me in to the same category that I was in for 2025. Obviously, getting to Q school in 2024 sets you up for 2025. And so by missing it, I ended up actually trying to go back through the challenge tour because the Q school, the players that are in the Q school category on the DP side, actually, they have status on both tours and you can play in anything on the challenge tour, any event you want to. You have like great status over there. And then you have what I would call like partial full status, if you will, where you can't quite get into all the events. You're not really sure when you're going to play. And that's what I'm in now. But if I wouldn't have gone through Q school or tried it or been successful, I would be in a completely different situation right now. So to go back through, did 6 more rounds. I did the challenge tour, actually final championship. I would have had to finish like maybe top 5 in order to get into a better category than I'm in now. So it's all based off of like categories. And when you're looking at like the entry list on the website, the categories represent like, if you've won a tournament or if you won a tournament in the last 2 years, you're in a certain category. If you kept your card, you're in a certain category. If you have a medical extension, you're in a certain category. So there's all these different weights of how players get into tournaments. Well, it's a list. And so if you're in the lower category, you miss out on some tournaments because the field sizes are only so big. And so until we get to May, they're not full field events. So they're only 115 to 145 players versus 156 in the summer. And so, yeah, went back through Q school, finished, I believe, like tied for 8th or something like that. So now I'm like back in the same place I was like a year ago or a year prior. If you go back to November 2024, and I have the same opportunity now to play in basically the same number of tournaments. I can play my way into a few more if I play well, which I've gotten off to a good start. Australia, I've never been there or hadn't been there. I went to Brisbane for the first event, flew from San Francisco to Brisbane. That was 14 hours nonstop. And that was a long one. One of my longest actually was that one. And then went to Melbourne the week after. And yeah, finished 12th and 14th in both of those events, got some points, made a little bit of money. And the 2026 season, they just play some events in 2025. So we're off and running. the Middle East is happening right now, and my category is it's going to be hit and miss between now and May, like it was last year, where I won't know if I'm in some tournaments until last minute. I'll be doing some refundable flights like I was doing last year. I'll have plan A, plan B, plan C lined up, and it'll be but then once May rolls around and hopefully I can play myself into some more events, that'll kind of loosen itself out. So
as you now look at the Davis Bryant, and we're going to maybe go on just a few more minutes here and let you go, but of today in your game, where have you improved the most, and what areas do you think you still need to work the most to take it to the next level?
I've improved the most. I would say proximity to the hole got significantly better. I just give myself a lot of chances at birdie, which is great. My mental game is really solid as far as, if I make 3 birdies in a row to start the round, it's like I'm not really freaking out. But if I make 3 bogeys in a row, I'm also like not quite freaking out either. I think like being very calm and very level-headed is key, especially if you've got 5 holes left and you've got to make a birdie to make the cut. Like it just needs to be kind of treated as it needs to be treated as like the first 5 holes of the tournament. Certainly your strategy changes, and the way I look at a course has changed as well. Like I know where I want to be aggressive, and I know what kind of I'm comfortable hitting or what the kind of shot I want to hit. So I think like course evaluation or course management has also gotten a lot better. One area I would like to improve, I want to putt better all the time. I feel like I'm a good putter. I feel like I would not, be here if I wasn't, but I'm always trying to get better. I think if you convert a couple more putts inside 8 to 10 feet, you're just gonna finish 8 to 10 under par every week versus finishing 3 or 4 under, and you get a little bit of momentum. Momentum is so huge, as we both know. Getting some stuff going early in the round, or catching some fire midway through the round, and that's huge. So those are kind of things I want to focus on. Some drills and stuff, but it's also just like I like to play a lot. I get bored on the range. I don't like to hit just a ton of balls and hit 27 irons in a row. I like to go out there and play and figure out how to score and how to hit different shots. And I think that goes back to how I grew up. Like that's
I was going to say, just like doing laps around the par 3 at GVR, same idea.
Same idea. Yeah.
So I looked at your stats, and it looks like driving accuracy, you are very much in the top. You're a very accurate driver. Distance, you're not at the, you hit it plenty long, or do you? Do you feel like distance is an issue for you, that you really, and so much is made of it, and so much is, and even more so now with all the technology conversations. So just talk about driving the golf ball and how you think how you stack up.
Yeah. Certainly at a slight disadvantage there with my size and that sort of thing. But it's one of those things that there's a lot of different ways to get it in the hole. The courses we play that I've at least seen last year are not. There's a few a year where you're like, okay, this course probably doesn't suit me very well. But then I've heard of other courses that suit me well because I hit it straight in the tree line and I missed the cut by 5 shots. And I'm just like, did I psych myself out? Did I know too much information beforehand? Like, I'm not sure. But distance is important. It's that's the way the game's going. I would say golfers aren't golfers anymore. Golfers are athletes who play golf. Professional golfers they're athletes that play golf. Look at Brooks Koepka, look at Justin Thomas, Xander. Bryson. I mean, these guys are, they hit the ball a long way. And, yeah, it's an important aspect. I think I'm careful with that, where I'm trying to gain a little bit of power and speed and focus on the gym and working out and stuff. But it's like, okay, how much do I want to sacrifice hitting it straight in order to maybe gain a little bit of distance? The top end of my bag is kind of the only thing that's kind of letting me down as far as like the distance wise. Iron wise, it's very identical to most players. But yeah, those putting stats need to get better. You're looking at those right now. And you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, they do. They do need to get better. But hey, you probably already answered. You probably answered this question already when you mentioned Shane Lowry. But my question was going to be, who have you played with? Who you're like, wow, that was amazing. So you mentioned Shane. Any other players stand out where you were just like really kind of just sort of in awe?
Not really. I mean, like if I'm in a practice round, it's like, okay, it might be with a friend, it might not be. Now I have more friends, which is nice. So hopefully I can do more practice rounds with my friends and people I do know this year. But normally it's like, I don't know. I just like, I play with them and I'm like, I can see why you've kept your card for a long time, or, you figure out how to get the ball in the hole, you make a few more putts, but there's such a variety that it's like, not one person is like, oh my gosh, this guy like hits it so much better than other people. Yeah, there's players that can't putt at all that hit it great and they hit it long, and that's just kind of how they've done it. But no one really comes to mind like high profile that's like incredible. I mean, what Shane did that day was he just like, if the pin was kind of back right on the par three, he would not get it past the hole and right of it. Like if it was past the hole and left of it, it was okay. But he chose a shot and chose a club that was like, he's going to miss it in the right spot if he doesn't hit it perfect. Now he's probably hitting it pretty much where he's looking, looking every time. But it was just it was very controlled. It was very strategic. It was very deliberate. Like everything had a purpose. He never hit a shot where it was like uncomfortable. He looked like he was uncomfortable with. He stayed within himself. He knew his game. He knew his strengths. And it was like shot 2 or 3 under, and it was like, you probably shoot 7, no problem. If you just make
What did you shoot that day?
I think I shot like 3 over or something. I want to say he beat me by like 5 shots, roughly, something like that.
But he was very conversational, very good guy. Yeah.
Asked so many questions. Just gave me some advice on how to close out the year, because I had another maybe 3 or 4 events left at that point. Of just like, keeping the process what it is and not thinking about your results and thinking about what's going to happen if I play well or what's going to happen if I don't play well. And just very, very outgoing, very welcoming.
By the way, is he an athlete? Shane Lowry.
I would say he's got elite hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, obviously a different build of player. But there's a reason why he's been inside the top 20 in the world for however long it's been.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you much longer, so I want to hear a couple more quick ones here. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Liv? We saw some big news with Brooks Koepka being. I know you're not on the PGA Tour full time. I'm confident you'll get there. But what are your thoughts as you see that whole thing play out?
Well, I think if a few of those other big names, come back to the PGA Tour, I feel like Liv will definitely kind of crumble. I'm all for like a different opportunity. I personally don't think it's a very appealing product, or where that money is coming from. However they want to kind of spin it is just not quite up my alley. Now, I'd have to think about it if I got offered however much to go play. That'd be life changing and something that you'd have to consider. But yeah, I don't know. I think we all thought that it might last. Like I think most of us thought, maybe the public's view in general was like, how long is this really going to last? Who's really going to go play over there? And other than maybe a couple of players, I don't think the PGA Tour is really missing those players. And the players that they probably are missing are the four that they're targeting to get back between now and February 2nd with the news of Brooks Koepka. So, yeah, it's interesting. They started that cutoff at major champions from 2022 onwards. You can't throw Phil in there in 2021. Can't throw Patrick Reed in there. You can't throw Sergio Garcia in there. Can't throw Bubba Watson in there.
I wonder how many meetings it took for them to come up with the criteria where they said, okay, these are the four we want. Let's see, what are the common denominators, and we'll write the rules around it. Well, I agree with you. I think it really is, it's been questionable from the beginning for all kinds of reasons. And, unfortunately, nobody listens to what I have to say, but I agree with you. I think they're on the verge of a collapse if they lose one or the other. The Mount Rushmore starts to crumble off the side of the mountain.
I don't like the shotgun start either. I'm not.
Yeah.
Golf courses are designed for, you start on hole one, and that's how you play the course. And that's how the architect, whether it's a great course or a garbage course, that's how they design to play the course. And so if you're starting on the third hole and you finish on the second hole, like I just think I think it's tacky. I know they changed it now to 72 holes starting this year. So now it's 4 rounds. They want world ranking points. I get it. I would too if I were them. Like that's the only thing they're not gaining. But other than like, you could probably put 10 players in a bucket and say like, okay, these are like the best. Outside of that, it's like the product's not great in my opinion. But
let's finish on this note. What would be your advice? Classic question to ask a professional golfer to a amateur when it comes to two things, kind of your go-to swing thought, what you would tell them, and then maybe a tip on putting. I always like to get putting tips because I'm with you. It's all about putting. And that's something we can all work on, and if we want to make a dent in our scoring, that's the best way to do it. So swing thought and a putting tip.
Yeah, putting tip. Just hit a variety of putts. Like don't sit there and put the mirror down and sit on the putting mirror for an hour and try and tell yourself I need to make 100 5-footers before I leave the green. Like there's going to be a time where you need to work on your 5-footers, sure. But if you can't develop the feel and the feel of being reactionary to what you see and what you feel in your feet as you're walking the green or just how you're kind of approaching the break of the putt, if you can't get that feel of like, okay, how much do I need to hit this ball? Speed is everything. So there's guys I play golf with that make a lot of putts and they're an aggressive putter. There's guys that make a lot of putts that don't 3-putt because they drip it in the front of the hole. Find out what works for you. Obviously picking the highest line as possible to get that ball to fall as close to the hole as you can. And if it goes in, great. If it doesn't, you're probably a foot around the hole rather than hitting something firm and low. And now it's 5 feet by. So I like to hit a variety of putts just to get feel. And, there's days where technique is needed, but I've been a field player. That's how I approach my full swing. And I'm the same way putting. Advice for pro-am or for amateurs. Understanding like your bad habit and where, like, how does your body do this as the round goes along to, what causes a bad shot? Like, is my body not moving properly? Am I am I just looking at the trouble on the right and now I'm going to hook it left, and now now I'm mentally screwing myself up, and then I'm physically screwing myself up to avoid the water. I think like understanding where your bad habit is, and like if you hit it both ways, well, you need to figure out which one's worse. And if you like to hit a draw, like get comfortable hitting a draw. If you like to see the ball go this way, or like you have a tendency to hit the ball one direction or the other, like focus on doing that more often, and getting quote unquote better or good at repeating that motion. So repeating something and avoiding a bad habit, because we all try and compromise in different areas. We try and not compromise, compensate. We try and compensate in different areas where you start to, your body just breaks down. So I'd identify, like, evaluate what the bad habit is, and what goes wrong in the round. Why am I losing shots? Am I losing shots because I try and press and I try and hit driver after I made bogey, and I'm like, dang it, I need to get this back right away? Or am I not aggressive enough on uphill putts? Okay, well, get an uphill putt, like, give it a go. Am I too aggressive on downhill putts? Like, think identifying and evaluating from like a trusted coach or a trusted adult that you get swing tips from, or your swing coach, or someone that you see about your game. Like, I was telling that to the juniors last week, when I met them. Like, have someone that you can go to ask questions about. How do you evaluate what's wrong, and what you need to improve is key.
So this will be, I promise, the last question, because we're right in an hour, which has flown by. Who is your go-to? I have a feeling I know who it is, but who is your go-to swing coach? I'm going to guess it's your dad, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, yes, it's him. But because he only saw me twice this year, played professionally, one in the state when I played in the Open, and then in France when the family came over, which was a great trip. That was super fun. Now it's kind of my caddy. Like, he knows my tendencies. He knows when I get in a certain situation, like, I'm always going to, select this type of shot or this type of club to hit this shot, rather than, just trying to not let you do something that you probably shouldn't be doing or shouldn't be trying. So, a lot of some of my issues kind of stem from like alignment, like where I kind of just get crossed up a little bit, and I kind of think I'm lined up somewhere and I'm not. So we like to keep an eye on the alignment throughout the week. So he's kind of a good check of just like keeping it simple, not overcomplicating it, but keeping my feel to where I'm a reactionary person, and sometimes I just like the wind off the right, and I want to hit a draw, and I want to hit a lower club because I want to hit it hard, and I know I'm going to hit it well, rather than I will never kind of club down and try and hit the easy one. Like that's a perfect example. So he just understands my game, and he's going to caddy again this year for me, and I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. Well, Davis, listen, thanks for joining. This podcast, Spirit of the Game, is taking the world by storm, but now we're going to be just like you, off and running. Best of luck to you this upcoming season. I know you know this already, but lots of folks here in Colorado are just as proud as I am to follow you, and we'll be keeping an eye on that Bryant name. What's your next event?
It's looking like it's going to be Qatar. I want to say it's the February 5th through the 8th, I think it is. I think those are the dates. So I think it's there, a week off, and then Kenya. And then after Kenya is South Africa. And then that's the first.
You get to see some wildlife. Did you play those events last year?
I did not. No, I missed out on both of those. Okay. I'm hoping I don't miss out again. I've been down to South Africa twice. It's really cool. It's a really cool part of the world, to see those animals and like the geography. We don't get to see those animals
No, and I'm enough of a junkie. I'll turn on the DP World Tour early in the morning, and that and that time of year, this time of year,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing the Jaguars and the Cougars and the
Yeah.
Lions just off the fourth fairway. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
The
Yeah,
elephants, everything.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I try and do something fun. Um,
Those are real big cats, not like the fake one that used to be the best player in the world. So,
Correct. Yeah, no, boy, he just turned 50. I hope he does some damage on the Champions Tour.
yeah.
The
I
best
always
one-
said he'd never play the Champions Tour, but who knows the way things have gone. So,
I think he definitely will.
yeah.
I think he definitely will. Um, it still doesn't look like he's walking well, though. It doesn't look like his body's there. And I mean, it hasn't been there for a while.
Speaking of bodies, how's your body holding up?
It's good. It's fine. I mean, it definitely takes a toll. The travel, the long flights. Not flying first class yet until I get some more zeros in the bank account. So that's kind of a challenge. I'd say that's one of the biggest things, just like how to get your body ready, but then also like, the jet lag and what time is it here? And then I'm going to a different place and what time is it there? And that's something that, some people are like, oh, where are you playing this week? Well, I'm playing here and I'm playing here. And they're like, oh, that's got to be great. It's like, well, it is. It's really cool, but it's also like challenging. There's a lot that goes into it. Different hotel rooms every week. Then you're doing maybe some Airbnbs. Are you renting a car or are you not? Is it safe to rent a car? Is it not?
Yeah, the round of golf doesn't start when it starts. You have to have had a good night's sleep. You got to have something to eat. It doesn't make you sick.
Yep.
All those things matter. So,
Luckily, I didn't get very sick at all.
Yeah. That's good.
Which was good. But yeah, cool experience. It's been a blast. I really enjoyed it. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I'm excited to be more prepared, more comfortable. Just kind of more and know what to expect this year, and having some other peers out there that are friends and acquaintances and just makes it more enjoyable. Going to dinner with people that you know and you're comfortable with is great, and playing practice rounds with people that you enjoy being around, and playing with people that are better than you. I mean, I can't stress that piece enough. As far as some advice goes to end the call, it's like, I had the teammates in college. I had, some junior golfers in the state of Colorado before college. Like, now the only way to do that is to see who's signed up at 10 a.m. on hole one. And if he just won last week, well, you might want to put yourself down with him and introduce yourself. It's gonna be well worth it.
Well, if you ever need to play with somebody better than you can always take. I'm free anytime. Just like,
are you? Great.
Yeah. So
we can get to, overseas.
Let's see. You beat me when you were 8. I think the gap has gotten a little bit wider.
I remember we played in a junior AM type deal at
oh yeah, at the AJGA.
AJGA, yeah, that was at Common Ground or
it was
Walnut
probably
Creek?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Walnut Creek, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably Walnut Creek.
With a couple of the AJGA.
Yeah, with Stephen Hamlin.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. So.
Well, Davis, thanks so much for doing this. We'll definitely be in touch, and like I said, I'll be rooting you on.
Ed, thank you for having me, and appreciate everyone listening, and excited for 2026.